Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're taking a look at adaptogens and how they can help us deal with the stresses of, well,
Life.
exactly, life.
Yeah.
Um, and to do that, we're joined by a health expert who's going to break it all down for us. When I first heard about these adaptogens, I was a bit skeptical.
I can understand that.
It kind of sounded like one of those, you know, trendy health fads.
Yeah, the term adaptogen does get thrown around a lot these days.
Right. But I was surprised to learn.
But there's actually quite a bit of research behind them.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
So maybe we should just start by defining what an adaptogen is exactly.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. So in simple terms, an adaptogen is a natural substance that helps your body adapt to stress.
Okay.
So they help your body maintain balance even when things get a little bit tough.
So like if you're facing a crazy deadline at work or stuck in traffic,
Exactly.
adaptogens can help us stay calm
Exactly.
instead of, completely freaking out.
Yeah, they work by modulating your stress response.
Yeah.
Helping to keep your cortisol levels in check.
Cortisol levels, that rings a bell.
Yeah.
Remind me what that is again.
So cortisol is a hormone that gets released by your body when you're stressed.
Okay.
And it's actually very essential for survival. It gives you that burst of energy you need to deal with a threat. But when those cortisol levels stay high for too long, it can actually have negative effects
Right.
on both your physical and mental health.
Right. So adaptogens
Uh-huh.
kind of regulate all that,
It-
keep things running smoothly.
Yeah, keep you in that sweet spot
Yeah.
of alertness and focus.
Okay. But I gotta ask, are adaptogens like a magic pill?
Ah,
Can I just take a supplement and poof, all my problems disappear?
I wish it were that simple.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Adaptogens work best when they're part of a holistic approach to well-being.
ah.
Think of them as a tool in your stress management toolkit, not the only tool.
So we still need to be doing all the basic stuff.
Absolutely.
Sleep,
Diet,
exercise, all that.
all those things. Those are foundational.
Okay. So you're saying we gotta have that solid base.
You got to have that base
Yeah.
for everything else to work properly.
Okay. So let's say I'm doing all that stuff. I'm sleeping well, I'm eating my vegetables, I'm exercising.
Yes.
Where do adaptogens fit into the picture?
So different adaptogens have different benefits.
Okay.
Some promote relaxation and sleep, while others can boost energy and focus. Some even support your immune function.
Wow.
It really depends on what you're hoping to address.
Okay, so let's get into some specifics then.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about sleep. I think a lot of people have trouble, getting to sleep, staying asleep.
Yes,
Um,
it's very common.
it is. Is there an adaptogen that can help with that?
So there is one called ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha. It's known for its calming effects and its sleep-promoting effects.
Okay.
It's been shown to reduce cortisol levels at night, which helps you fall asleep easier and sleep more soundly.
So it's not just about knocking you out.
It's about the quality of your sleep. Exactly. And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Ashwagandha actually interacts with what are called GABA receptors in your brain.
GABA receptors. Now I know GABA is something to do with the brain,
Yes.
but remind me.
So GABA is a neurotransmitter. That has a very calming effect on the nervous system. When ashwagandha binds to these receptors, it enhances the activity of GABA, leading to a sense of relaxation.
So it's like a natural chill pill.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that makes ashwagandha so unique. It's not just masking the symptoms of stress. It's actually addressing those underlying mechanisms in your brain and body.
Okay, that's fascinating. But what about daytime energy? I know I struggle with that afternoon slump, just feeling sluggish.
Oh, yeah.
Is there an adaptogen that can help with that?
Yes. There's one called rhodiola.
Rhodiola.
Rhodiola is an excellent choice for boosting energy and combating fatigue. And it's known to improve mental clarity, focus, even physical stamina.
That sounds amazing. So how does it work? Does it give you a jolt of energy like caffeine or something?
No, not quite. Rhodiola's effects are much more subtle and sustained.
Okay.
It works by supporting your adrenal glands, which are responsible for producing cortisol and other stress hormones.
So instead of just this temporary energy boost, it's more about helping your body deal with stress.
Exactly. More effectively over time.
Okay, I'm really liking the sound of ashwagandha and rhodiola. There's another adaptogen I've heard a lot about, ginseng.
Yes.
What's the deal with that one?
Ginseng is a well-known adaptogen. It's been used for centuries in traditional Chinese medicine, particularly known for enhancing cognitive function.
So can it help with focus and memory and all that?
Yes, ginseng is thought to work by increasing blood flow to the brain and boosting the production of certain neurotransmitters. like acetylcholine,
Okay.
which are involved in learning and memory.
So it's like giving your brain that extra boost to
Exactly.
like really focus.
Yeah, it can be especially helpful for those who are feeling mentally fatigued
Hmm.
or struggling with concentration.
But can it be too stimulating for some people?
Yeah, for some people it can be.
Yeah.
So it's always best to start with a low dose and see how your body responds.
Right, because some people are already really sensitive to things like caffeine.
Exactly. So you want to be careful.
Okay, so we talked about ashwagandha, rhodiola, ginseng. Are there any other adaptogens that are worth knowing about?
Definitely.
Yeah, spill the beans.
There's a whole world of adaptogens out there, each with its own unique benefit.
Tell me more.
Okay, well, there's one called cordyceps.
Cordyceps.
It's actually a type of mushroom,
Okay.
and it's been traditionally used in Chinese and Tibetan medicine to enhance energy and stamina, especially for athletes.
So cordyceps is kind of like a natural performance enhancer?
You could say that. It's thought to increase the body's production of ATP, which is the primary energy currency of cells.
Fascinating. What else is out there?
So another intriguing one is called mucuna pruriens.
Mucuna pruriens.
It's a tropical legume
Okay.
known to boost dopamine levels in the brain.
Dopamine, now we're talking. So that's the neurotransmitter that's associated with pleasure, motivation, reward.
Exactly.
So could mucuna pruriens help with mood?
It could. It's being studied for its potential benefits in treating conditions like Parkinson's disease. But it's also gaining popularity as a natural mood enhancer.
Wow, that's really interesting. And I think I've saved the best for last. Cat's claw.
Ooh.
Now that name just sounds intriguing.
Yes.
What does that one do?
So cat's claw is a woody vine that grows in the Amazon rainforest.
Okay.
And it's been traditionally used for a variety of purposes. But recently it's gained a lot of attention for its potential to boost libido and sexual energy.
Ooh, that does sound interesting. Is there any science to back that up?
There's some preliminary evidence suggesting that cat's claw may increase blood flow and enhance nitric oxide production, which are both very important for sexual function.
There's like nature's little helper for passion and pleasure.
You could say that. It's definitely an adaptogen worth exploring.
Mm.
You're looking to enhance your intimate life.
Okay, so we've learned about all these different adaptogens, and I'm starting to see why they're getting so much attention. But with all these different options, it's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah, it can be.
How do we know where to start?
So finding the right adaptogens for you is a personalized journey.
Okay.
It really depends on your individual needs, your lifestyle, and what you're hoping to address.
So there's no one size fits all.
There's no one size fits all.
We've got to figure out what works best for us.
Exactly. And it's always a good idea to consult with a qualified healthcare professional to determine the best adaptogens for you.
Right, because they can help us figure out dosage.
Exactly.
And if there are any contraindications and things like that.
Exactly. They'll be able to look at your individual needs, recommend the appropriate dosages, and make sure that the adaptogens that you choose are safe and effective.
Okay, so to recap, we've explored the concept of adaptogens. We've talked about those foundational habits, sleep, diet, exercise.
Yes.
And we've talked about some specific adaptogen, like ashwagandha, rhodiola, ginseng, cordyceps, mucuna pruriens, cat's claw.
Quite the toolbox.
It is quite the toolbox, and you've given us a lot to think about in terms of how they work and how to choose the right ones. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to shift our focus for a minute to how stress actually shows up in our lives.
Okay.
Because, we often think about the mental and emotional aspects of stress, feeling overwhelmed or anxious. But stress can also have very real physical effects.
It absolutely does.
It really can. And, when I'm stressed, I tend to clench my jaw.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm holding all that tension in there.
Yeah. That's very common. A lot of people carry tension in their jaw and their shoulders, neck.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, that can lead to pain, discomfort.
Yeah.
Stress can also really mess with your sleep,
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
making it harder to fall asleep or stay asleep.
Yeah.
And, can even weaken your immune system.
Really? So you're more likely to get sick when you're stressed.
Exactly. Your body's just not as good at fighting off those bugs.
So it's not just about, feeling stressed out. It actually affects our physical health.
It has a very real impact
Yeah.
on your physical health.
And it works both ways, right?
It does. When our bodies are under stress, our minds are also affected.
Right.
You might find yourself having trouble concentrating. Maybe you're more irritable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Snapping at people.
It becomes this vicious cycle where the stress in one area amplifies the stress in another.
Like a domino effect.
Exactly. And the longer this goes on, the more serious the consequences can be.
Yeah, that's scary. So we really need to find ways to break that cycle,
We do.
manage that stress, and it sounds like adaptogens can be a big help.
They can be a huge help. They give you that support you need to get through those tough times.
It's without completely losing it.
Yes.
Okay, so they're like a buffer
Yeah.
against all that stress.
Exactly. They help your body adapt and maintain balance. And what's really amazing about adaptogens is that they work with your body's natural systems.
So they're not just like masking the problem, they're actually helping our bodies to
Yes.
heal and restore themselves.
Exactly. They're supporting your body's own ability to heal.
That's incredible. So they're not a Band-Aid solution. They're more like a long-term strategy.
Exactly. For building resilience.
Okay, that makes sense. And you've talked about how important it is to have that holistic approach.
Absolutely. It's not just about taking a pill.
It's about lifestyle. It's about all the things we talked about.
Exactly. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your physical, mental, and emotional health.
It's about nourishing your body from the inside out.
Exactly. And speaking of personal experience, I remember a time when I was just completely burnt out.
Oh no, I've been there. What did you do?
I was working long hours,
Mm.
juggling multiple projects. My stress levels were through the roof.
I think a lot of people listening can relate to that feeling of just being overwhelmed.
It's so common in today's world.
It is. So how did you turn things around?
Well, I started by prioritizing my sleep. I made sure I was getting at least 7 to 8 hours every night. And I started incorporating more stress-reducing activities into my routine.
Like what?
Things like yoga and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And I started experimenting with adaptogens.
Which ones did you try?
I started with ashwagandha and rhodiola.
How did that make you feel?
Honestly, it was like a complete transformation.
Really?
I had more energy, my mood improved, and I was able to handle stress so much better.
Wow, that's amazing. So it sounds like those changes really helped you reclaim your balance.
They did. They really did.
And it's a good reminder that, even small changes can make a big difference.
They can. You don't have to overhaul your whole life.
Right, to start feeling better.
Exactly. Even incorporating 1 or 2 new habits can have a ripple effect.
Okay, so let's bring this back to our listeners. What are some practical things they can do to start managing their stress and maybe try out some of these adaptogens?
That's a great question. I always recommend starting with self-awareness. Pay attention to how stress shows up in your life. What triggers you? How do you react?
So we got to become like detectives of our own stress.
Exactly. Figure out those patterns.
Okay.
And once you have a better understanding of your own stress, you can start exploring those different coping mechanisms. And that's where adaptogens can come in.
Right, so if someone's having trouble sleeping, they might want to try ashwagandha.
Exactly.
If they're feeling tired all the time, maybe rhodiola.
Rhodiola would be a great choice.
And if they need to focus, ginseng?
Ginseng can be really helpful for that. But remember, it's always best to consult with a healthcare professional.
Yes, always good advice. Because, they can look at our individual situation and help us make the best decision.
Exactly. They can make sure it's safe and appropriate for you.
And it's not all about adaptogens, right?
Oh,
There are other things we can do.
lots of things. Things like mindfulness meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga,
Mm.
spending time in nature, even just taking breaks throughout the day.
Yeah, just to relax and recharge.
Absolutely. It's all about finding what works for you.
It's about building that personalized toolkit.
Exactly. Your own stress management toolkit.
I love that. We have all these different tools.
Yeah.
And we can choose the ones that work best for us.
And remember, stress management is a journey, not a destination.
That's a good point.
It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your well-being and gives you the tools you need to deal with life's challenges.
To face those challenges with a little more grace.
Exactly. With more ease and grace.
Yeah, this has been such a great conversation, and I'm sure our listeners are feeling inspired to take charge of their stress and really explore these adaptogens.
I hope so.
But before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more important aspect of stress management.
Okay.
And that is the mind-body connection.
The mind-body connection is so important for understanding and managing stress. We tend to think of the mind and body as separate,
Right.
but in reality, they're completely interconnected.
So what happens in one affects the other?
Exactly. And our thoughts and feelings can have a huge impact on our physical health.
Okay, so for example, let's say I'm really stressed about a presentation at work.
Okay, so you might start having trouble sleeping. You might have digestive issues, maybe some muscle tension.
All those fun things. But it's not like giving a presentation is actually life or death.
Right. But your body reacts as if it is.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, because your body can't tell the difference between a real threat and a perceived threat.
So even though logically I know, this presentation isn't a big deal. My body is freaking out.
Your body is in full fight or flight mode.
Right, so how do we fix that? How do we get our minds and bodies on the same page?
That's where the mind-body connection comes in.
Right.
By learning to calm our minds, we can actually influence our body's stress response.
So, like, if I'm freaking out about this presentation, instead of getting caught up in all that, I can try to just be present.
Exactly. You can use techniques like mindfulness,
Right.
deep breathing,
Uh-huh.
to kind of soothe your nervous system, bring yourself back to the present moment.
And that can actually have physical benefits,
It can.
like lower blood pressure, better sleep,
Like
less
these-
muscle tension.
It can even boost your immune system.
It's amazing how powerful our minds can be.
It really is.
And it works both ways, right?
It does. Taking care of your physical health can also benefit your mental and emotional health. Things like exercise, healthy diet, getting enough sleep.
All that good stuff
Yeah.
can help us regulate our mood, boost our energy, make us more resilient.
It's a two-way street. Nurturing your body nourishes your mind, and nurturing your mind nourishes your body.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. That's why it's so important to take that holistic approach
Yeah.
to stress management.
This has been so insightful, and I think it's a perfect lead-in to the final part of our deep dive. We've explored the science of stress, we've talked about adaptogens, and now we've talked about this amazing mind-body connection.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
Yeah.
And now I'm excited to bring it all together and talk about some practical strategies for building resilience and creating a life that feels more balanced and joyful and fulfilling.
I'm excited for that too.
So stay tuned for our final part of this deep dive. Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into adaptogens and stress management. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
Talking about, how stress affects us and all those different adaptogens. That can help. But now it's time to talk about how to actually put all this into practice.
Yes. That's the important part.
So where do we begin?
Well, I think it's always good to start with the basics.
Okay.
Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating a healthy diet? Are you moving your body regularly?
It's funny how often we forget about those things.
It's true. When we're stressed, we tend to just focus on, quick fixes.
Right.
But true resilience comes from building that solid foundation.
Yeah, so step one is make sure we're taking care of ourselves.
Exactly.
And then what was...
Then it's about exploring those stress-reducing techniques that really resonate with you.
I like that you said resonate, because it really is personal, isn't it?
It is. What works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. So we have to experiment.
Yes. Try different things and see what helps us.
So, maybe it's mindfulness, maybe it's yoga, maybe it's spending time in nature, or maybe it's just taking a few minutes to breathe deeply and relax. So we build up this toolkit of different techniques.
That's a great way to put it. Your own personal stress management toolkit.
And we can use them whenever we need them.
And don't wait until you're feeling completely overwhelmed.
Oh, that's a good point. Be proactive.
Exactly. Incorporate these things into your daily routine.
It's about prevention.
It's about prevention, not just putting out fires.
So we're building resilience.
Yeah.
Over time.
It's an ongoing process.
I love that. It's a journey.
It's a journey,
Yeah.
not a destination.
And then once we have all that in place, those good habits and those stress-reducing techniques, then we can start to think about adaptogens.
Exactly. As a way to kind of enhance what we're already doing.
So it's not about using them as a crutch.
No, they're not a Band-Aid. They're a complement to a healthy lifestyle.
And again, it's about personalization, right?
It is. You need to figure out which adaptogens are right for you.
So we start by thinking about what areas we're struggling with.
Exactly. What are your specific needs?
Is it sleep? Is it energy? Focus, mood?
And then you can start doing some research. Look into different adaptogens. See what might be a good fit for you.
And I think it's important to start slowly.
It is always start with a low dose. See how your body reacts.
And you can always increase the dose later.
Or you might want to try different combinations, as you go along.
But again, it's always a good idea to talk to a healthcare professional.
Absolutely. They can help you make sure you're making safe choices.
This has been such a great conversation. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. And I hope our listeners are feeling empowered
to take charge of their well-being. So let's recap the key takeaways from our deep dive.
Okay.
First, stress is a normal part of life.
It is. It's not about eliminating it completely. It's about learning to manage it.
Second, we need to create a lifestyle that supports our well-being.
Absolutely.
Sleep, diet, exercise, all those things.
All the things.
And finally, we can explore these amazing adaptogens to help us on our journey.
They can be such powerful allies.
They really can. So remember, you have the power to create a life that feels good. Don't be afraid to experiment, to seek support, and to trust your own inner wisdom.
That's great advice.
So that's it for our deep dive today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope you enjoyed the journey. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep learning.